This conference will now be recorded.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's start right off with clerk items. Item 8, special board meeting minutes, June 23rd. Any discussions, questions?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to abstain.
And I'm sorry, I did not get that second set in, so those will be on the next meeting.
Do we need to table that, or do we just, what's the legal protocol there?
I guess technically, since it's on the agenda, we should table it.
Motion. I'll make the motion to table it.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and item C, Dragos Community Defense Program Agreement. Would you like to explain that,
It's the
Steve?
like firewall type software for the electrical SCADA system that NICA provides. There's no cost associated with it. It's just their portion that protects our electrical utility.
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any questions on it? Everyone's good?
No, it's pretty
Okay.
important stuff. So.
All in favor?
Aye.
As well. Item D, Electric Department bid request to go out for bid for distribution transformers.
I make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item E, Billing Department personnel status. Would you like to?
Sure, Caitlin has been with us for just over 6 months. She's doing a great job. So I put in a letter to make her no more probationary now, just a permanent employee.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
And any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye as well.
Thank you.
Maybe we'll tell her congratulations. Thank you. Item F, approval for Ironman to use Mint Park for their welcome ceremony.
I'll make the motion with the caveat that from now on, they put in a more timely request and a more professional request to not make the assumption that we will do this.
A second.
Are we going to get the kind of minimum of background that we need in terms of anything? I think with
They have talked with, Chuck, you have been talked to about Mintz Park for Ironman, correct?
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Actually, I was not aware of it until a text message today that was sent to Brad and I.
Yeah. Okay. I thought we had talked about that in the workshop, and that it came up that someone mentioned that it's going to be bigger, but that we'll just take it by ear. I mean, do you have any problems with the fact that it probably will be bigger, or do you?
I think it's going to be one of those things we're not going to know till it happens. I think it could be quite busy. I think it could be quite busy there.
So my assumption is it will be bigger because we moved it outside during COVID. So that was when we had the limited numbers.
They still have a limited.
Oh, okay. Is it just as limited?
It is just as limited.
Okay.
The events committee has asked Ironman to keep that.
Okay, so maybe it
So it
will
will probably be the COVID,
Right.
maybe 300, 400 more.
Yeah, I mean, I think there might be more family members and stuff because during COVID, I think people are just coming themselves.
And
but
well, and it really is.
like Chuck says, we're not gonna know until they show up.
And they want the splash code off.
So Chuck, are you thinking that you'll have to put on extra people, and also Brad, are you thinking you'll have to put on extra people to deal with what could be additional trash containers and trash removal? And if the answer from either one of you is yes, all those costs should be documented?
Yeah, this is the first that I've heard of it other than the text message we got today.
And Brad just said that they want parking
Coned
off and
We do keep track of those expenses now though, because Roost asks for them every year, or has the last 2 years, so we are keeping track of that.
Well, you know, we have a very specific Mintz Park policy which requires a request to come in a timely fashion and give details about use, requests, signage, what are they going to do there? And unfortunately, unless Brad and Chuck in their texts got more details, we don't know very much.
Yeah, the text we got, Janet, was just about blocking off parking spaces, at least the one I got.
Yeah, the one I got was just saying that, reminding us that this is happening Friday and that they need 5 parking spots. I didn't know anything about it till the text message, and I was not planning on putting anybody else on because I didn't know about it till today.
So do we need to get more information?
It is worth adding that we have an all-agency Ironman meeting on Thursday. So I assume we would be briefed more then, but that's not until Thursday.
When is the vote?
Friday night, Friday at 5:30.
Could we try to handle this potentially by correspondence with more information on the table?
I think we can make a motion with any caveats we want.
Mhm.
I think we just have to look at it from the standpoint, it's not like a group of 100 people are coming in and tying up. It's
Mhm, yeah.
80% of the village is going to be taken up, not higher.
Mhm.
And we need to give it some leeway, but I think down the road, as Jackie said, we expect much sooner. I mean, we'll have that talk. But
Yeah,
I think for now, our backs have been put up against the wall, and I think we just have to respond. But if there are any caveats of, do we expect crowd control from this, from anything from Ironman? Do we expect them to clean up? Or do they expect us to clean up?
yeah, I mean, I think my slight frustration probably is that this isn't the first conversation of this nature that we've had about events.
certain individual.
Notice, yeah.
But this is like the 5th year in a row they've done it at Mitts Park.
Yeah,
So,
It's just not notifying us in
right,
advance.
I mean, so,
just going through a process that hasn't been gone
Yeah,
through. It's not necessarily a problem in some.
so if you've never done that,
They picked everything up.
they've got a go team that
Yeah.
usually does everything.
When you say fix up, they pick up the park?
We've never done
garbage
this.
for you,
If
or-
they've done this for 5 years,
Yeah.
we've never picked any of this stuff up, never put anybody extra onto this.
Okay, so at the end of it, they have it picked up and taken away?
Must be.
Okay.
We've never done it.
Exactly the kind of stuff that's just helpful. And obviously, like, I don't have the benefit of having been involved for the last several years, but I think still, it's just kind of best practice to be able to.
My
do
whole
that.
thing on approving would be, in the future, if he does not give us a month's notice, the answer would be no. That would be mine. I mean, everybody else that uses it has rules, and if you're gonna come, you gotta follow the rules.
Yeah.
That's mine. So if you can't give us a month's notice,
What about traffic control, Chuck, last year and the last 4 years and this?
We've noticed that the weather has a lot to do with attendance. If the weather's poor, the attendance seems to be poor. But yes, I will have an extra person on for pedestrian traffic control during the event.
Okay. So do you want Ironman to be doing any kind of traffic control or control of the park? I mean, we can put any caveat we want on this. What would you like us to do, or leave it to you?
I think we're good with what we got in place, unless the scope of it is changing dramatically. I think we'll be okay.
Okay, and I would put in there that the garbage will be as last year. We won't have to touch anything. Anything else other than next year we want a month's notice?
Can we get a proposal from them?
You mean for next year or this year?
This year.
You mean this year, put down in writing what he's asking? Sure.
I'll ask Greg for that, sure.
And then, we
We can look and
next
see
year-
exactly what's in it, right?
Yeah. It's just a little bit hard to approve something that doesn't exist. So I think that's my only concern. I think totally take the point that in principle, it's a great way to celebrate what's going on around Ironman. It's a major focus for the town and the village, but at the same time, it's a little bit, just from a process perspective.
And we like to handle a little more professional next year.
Definitely.
Anything else to add into the motion? That's exactly what your motion was, right?
It was
What is
Everything we
the
just said.
motion again?
to accept the use of Mitts Park with the caveat that next year he outlines a more professional with his needs and requests in a timely manner, at least 30 days in advance.
And then we get an outline for this year.
And find that outline to be acceptable. You know, I mean, I think that it's hard to say yes when we don't really know what they're expecting. You know, if we have, you know, if they somehow expect, you know, Brad and team.
Well, how would we like to do that then? I mean, you can ask him for that tonight or tomorrow, and
Yeah,
you can
because
send it through to
It's
one. I guess you could send it to the board if anyone has any questions, you know, depending.
Mine would be, so you wouldn't have to be there for the mayor's approval.
Right.
So,
And if
But
any-
I don't want to, then I don't want to approve something if we don't know what the expectation is.
Yeah, it's really hard to do that.
Okay, so I guess the question is, can we do that pending everyone's approval, or do we have to have a meeting after we've seen it? An emergency meeting, you know, where we just gather for 10 minutes and approve it or disapprove it? What would you, Janet, you got any advice there?
No, I think that unfortunately, the board has been put in a box by the late unprofessional request without any details. Now, and you said, well, they've done it for 5 years, but you know, things change. Are they changing it up? If, you know, not knowing about it this year, one could have assumed they aren't going to use Mids Park, but lo and behold, they are. So I think you're entitled to more information, and it is up to the board as what you're comfortable with.
Okay, so let's,
Anita has provided me with a copy of their insurance binder for this year. They have our name listed incorrectly. We'll get that changed. And we're going to send it to our broker for analysis because there's a couple riders to it, and just make sure we have all the appropriate coverage. From my standpoint, you know, the whole safety, you know, when there's a big event up in Mids Park, people are dashing between cars. It may impede the sidewalk. Sometimes the trash bins overflow. So it's just whatever the board is comfortable with in terms of safety.
okay, so I see two directions on this. We can either wait till we get the proposal, take a quick look at it, get back together for a quick meeting, or we can get the proposal, everyone can look at it. If you have any complaints, come back to me, and I can just have the ability to sign it so we don't have to meet. I'm happy to go either direction.
I think I'm happy with the going through correspondence, if you don't mind kind of taking on that burden.
No, you mean, in other words, he'll send it to
He'll
us,
send it
we'll
to
read it,
us.
everyone have a chance, and everyone just send me.
Here's a late thought. If anybody has contact information for the organizer, could he either attend this meeting by go to meeting, or get to the town hall and answer your questions?
Oh, you mean
I can call him right now, Janet, if you'd like. Try to call him.
Well, that's up to the board, but there's another thought. Get
Yeah,
the
that's a
answers tonight if you can.
No, it's a great idea, Janet.
I think
Jackie's attempting to do that right
Jackie's got
now.
found his finger of all of us.
Okay, and while Chuck or Jackie are doing that, we'll keep going in the meeting, we'll circle back to this. It'll take him a while. Does he need a login?
Well, let's see if she gets in touch with them, yes, well,
I guess he could just be put on speaker.
that too.
Yeah.
Let's just jump onto G, that's a pretty easy one. That's the NICOM fall training, September 18th through the 22nd. That's back here in Lake Placid. And it's basically just approving any of the village employees or board members that want to go.
I make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Chuck, are you also trying? You might see yours and answer quick.
Yes, I just called, got the voicemail.
Okay, well, his loss.
I'll remind the board, there is a motion on the floor.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, let's just kind of keep holding it
Hey, Greg,
open.
how are you?
All
I'm good. We're at the village board meeting.
We know who holds the power.
I guess.
Okay. there's some questions about Mintz Park. Oh, okay, I'm gonna put you on speakerphone.
Or where is he? Is he,
Where are you?
is he at the Oval?
He's in Redbrook.
Oh.
Oh, no, in Golden Arrow. No,
No,
you're good.
tell him to run down
Can
here.
you run, Jackie wants to know, can you come down here for 2 minutes? Yeah, it'd be easier, because we just have a few questions.
Only if he wants me to.
All right, thanks, bye.
Okay, like I said, so let's leave that motion we know is on the table, we'll leave that
Who's
open.
got it?
And what number have you got?
It never is
He's
out
got the
there.
secret school number.
I got 7890.
I don't think that's public information.
And it is now.
I didn't say what the first three were.
That's a good thing.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's mine too.
I think he saw 3 different people come up and he went, oh my gosh, I better answer that.
No, he
okay, so
forgot
we
the
know we
one
have
on
a
the
first, we don't have a second, we know it's open, but let's just leave it at that. Anything else from clerk items?
Nope, that is all.
Okay, and under treasury items, item A is approved warrant application number 22. I think, thank you, Jackie, is in order.
Thanks, Jackie.
Does anybody have any corrections, questions?
Yeah, I'll talk to you.
Motion to accept warrant, what?
Nothing, nothing.
Nothing worth it.
No, right, nothing.
Okay. Motion to accept,
I'll make the motion.
A second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Very good, thank you again, Jackie. Anything else to come from treasurer? Okay, anything under new business? How about under old business?
The resident parking stickers are in at the police department. I picked them up from Stacy today. I just need to get with Adrian at the town hall and with Emily and just work out a process. So hopefully it'll be in the works by next week. We will post the information on the Facebook page and on our website. And then, Mark, I guess what we would possibly do is rely on you and the business association maybe to get the word out.
Easy, yep.
Okay. So I'll let you know when that's ready to go. It is it's a round sticker. If we're gonna wait and see, right now, it will not expire unless, of course, we find out that it's hugely popular. We'll just play it by ear the first year. We can change the color of the stickers if we want to do
That
another.
was the question like we talked about today. Do we want to have it so you have to renew next year?
Right now, we're gonna go no.
Because if we don't, then we change it, that'll be harder than after we've done it. You renew one saying you don't have to, but I'll let you decide.
Well, we bought 5,000 of them, so I'm saying no.
Okay.
And in terms of process, you guys have the kind of broad strokes where they're just tightening up that when you meet or the criteria?
The criteria is if you're registered to vote,
Mhm.
and Adrian will have the list of voter registration and she'll just cross it off. That's the only criteria
Should we
right
have
now.
Andrew give it the blessing or?
Yeah.
No, I'm good.
He does have the phone number. and the
Yeah.
time.
He does.
And were we did we talk about having some sort of, I guess, sort of ability for people who, for one reason or other, couldn't register to vote, go in with pay slips or something else?
If they are a felon.
Yeah.
Right.
That would be the only one is they were a felon, and then they could just say, hey, I want to have a resident parking, then we could.
But the only, that you've got to be registered to vote.
That's it. Okay.
But what I'm saying, if you are a felon, you can't be registered.
Then you wouldn't be on the register, would you? Would you be on the list?
No.
No,
Okay, so if you're not on the list, you're not getting one.
okay.
Yeah, so the same thing goes like, if you are a foreign citizen who's a resident, you can't vote either because you're not.
Well, this is also a good starting point.
Yes,
for
this
future
is trial
changes.
number 1.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, but just trying to clarify that so that when we get the questions.
And the administration of this is going to be handled by,
Adrian at the town.
Okay.
okay. Okay, any other old business before we move on to item F and clerk item? Okay. Greg?
Mark, sorry.
It's okay. We just, obviously, we got the request from Mitz Park late. We usually have a process you have to go through for that and chance to vet questions, and we didn't have any of that because it's happening. Questions from the board on that. I guess we do have insurance, so that's not a problem. Chuck says he's going to put an extra person on, but he didn't know anything about it until your letter came through today. It sounds like the garbage will be all picked up by you afterwards and carted away.
Yeah, we put cans out.
Okay.
You've never dealt with it, so I've always taken care of it.
And what other questions? I hit some of the ones I can remember. Any other questions?
Timing?
6 o'clock, we have a band that plays from 6 to 7, and the ceremony starts at 7. And it's done by 8:30 usually.
Why doesn't Greg give us the full details of the setup, the takedown, the signs, what's gonna go on there, so you can have the full picture?
Yeah, we normally set up like scrim, like event fencing on the railing. It's Ironman branded. We're not selling anything there. We just, it's a ceremony. We bring the Jumbotron in Friday afternoon and set it up on the boardwalk traditionally. And yeah, so the branded fencing, Ironman branded fencing and the Jumbotron are the biggest items. And then the sound is set up at the band shell.
So the scrim, any sponsors on the scrim?
No,
It's just Ironman?
It's just Ironman Lake Classic.
Okay.
I mean, we have a title sponsor. It's called VinFast, which is a Vietnamese electric car company. So if anybody wants to deal in a Vietnamese electric car, just let me know.
But that is through Ironman's advertising, right? Yeah. One question I would have is, I don't know how many people you're going to get, especially now that maybe you'll have families coming with COVID over. Any precautions down at the lake to make sure there's not a lot of people and someone doesn't drown?
We haven't had that problem in the past. Actually, in the past, though, we've had a member of the public just paddleboarded up with like some scary mask, and our administrative people just shoot them away. So we haven't had any swimmers, though.
Shoot or shoot?
Shoot.
Shoot.
Shoot them away. With a shoot.
I can remember just being there for one. I can't remember how
It's
many
very
years.
crowded, depending on how many people show up, but we haven't had anybody go in the water there yet, and we can keep an eye on that, obviously.
I was just going to say, it would be really nice to have someone there just to keep an eye out.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, as we all know, all you got to do is,
Slip and fall one time.
so basically, I guess what we would like to have you do is what you've just told
Put
us,
that into writing.
send that into writing to
Okay,
us.
I apologize for not doing that. And we also I sent a message out to Brad and to Chuck about parking so we can load the Jumbotron in and we have space in front, and there's parking spots in front during the day on Friday. And I know it's,
Mark, any problems with that? I know you said it was nice to have them up there at Help Main Street, coning off parking places. Is that a problem?
Yeah, traditionally in the past, that's been a nice event for businesses and anywhere around there because it does drive a lot of traffic up there. So I think 5 parking spots is totally reasonable for the amount of traffic it'll drive uptown.
Yeah, and then I'll discuss it with Chuck on who's putting the cones out, whether we are as a police department.
And do you have a sense for how many people, even if it's just high
we get between
estimate?
700 to 1,000 people, I would say at that. So it's no bigger than the biggest songs at Mirror Lake. I haven't noticed it being bigger than that.
And Chuck said it's very weather dependent, just like
Yes.
songs
If it's
is.
raining, they won't come. Right.
Any more questions?
Is now the time I propose that we run the bike course through Main Street next year?
No. Janet, any more questions or concerns from you for now?
No, once we get the insurance straightened out, we'll be all set. And I think you started the conversation with Greg, reminding him that these requests cannot come at the last minute like this. And when they do come, we need details. It's unfair to Brad and Chuck to find out 4 days before that something's happening.
Okay. We had a motion.
We did.
You want to, since we now have
Yes, I will make the motion that we allow the use of Mids Park and the beach house by Iron Man, based upon the information that was just shared with us in person by the race director.
And that was Friday.
Friday.
From 6 to 8:30. The parking starting at noon or?
Whenever the,
Well, we have to call it in the morning and we can get the spots going.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Very good.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Craig, just one thing on the volume for the band, I think it's like something around the level songs
Yeah,
on Bear Lake rather than, I
Right.
think for FESU,
Yeah, we're not gonna
sometimes it was a
yeah.
bit on the louder side.
Yeah, it will not be DJ, it won't be Mixmaster Mike level.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think it
No
just,
language.
I just
Kind
didn't
of,
have the
yeah.
vocabulary.
and it kind of, it was so loud, it kind of drove people away sometimes, so I think,
Yeah.
just,
We got bombs for it.
yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Greg.
Great, thanks, Greg, thanks for coming.
Let's see. We were on old business. Did we finish that or even start it?
Yeah,
We started because we did residential parking.
Okay.
And I think the other ones were at the beach, I see that we no longer have the fence, but is there any way to put something that just doesn't look like that blue fence? See that it's gonna fall down.
You mean along the.
I understand why it's there because it's keeping people at home.
Well,
That's the park
you
district.
asked,
And the park district intends on leaving it up, so I think the next step is to talk to them if this board feels very strongly about that.
Just something that doesn't-
what was the reason why was it there? Define the beach area?
Yes,
Yes.
to keep people from
I understand why.
coming in on that side.
So they don't go around this
We
way.
could put the orange top fencing back there. Would you like that?
Well, if, I think what you're getting at is everything else looks so nice or will, let us, if it's going to have to stay there, put something more permanent, more nice for that little section.
Just a little white, just a white fence.
Can you make it?
Brown.
Can I chime in a little on that one? I
Sure.
did chat. I had chatted with Derek after the managers meeting, and we talked about potential solutions for that. I guess what was happening is a lot of people are pulling their boats up there and kind of distracting the lifeguards. And so we had talked about, instead of the blue fence, possibly buoying it off. So I think if the board is in support of that, I think I just need to compose an email to Butch and copy Derek on it and say that's kind of our recommendation, is to buoy off that area so it's kind of like a guarded area that people aren't, rolling in on their boats. They're doing it anyway with the blue fence, but the buoys would look a little nicer in the water than the blue fence on land.
But it's not gonna stop the boaters, like the fence does.
Correct.
I mean, the fence
Well-
doesn't stop the boaters. The buoys aren't going to, the buoys aren't gonna do anything either.
Is it,
Well, boats are still pulling up to the fence and then just walking around it and coming up onto the beach. So that's not stopping them either.
No, I know. So we would have to have the fence and the buoys?
More or less.
We're hoping to get rid of the fence somehow.
Is there any signage that tells people no boats?
No, there is
it's not.
not.
that's probably a quick and easy one.
So possibly a combination of buoys and fencing might be a better, or buoys and signs would get rid of the fencing.
Buoy, signs, and fence.
No
I
fence.
think they'd be given the opportunity, I think it's one of those that, like, if there's no fence, or there's no sign, they definitely won't read it.
Like, I was driving down Main Street today and there was a person smoking underneath the no smoking sign. Right underneath it.
They do it every day.
Oh, I know.
I watch them right next to electrical and it says no smoking.
All right, yeah, Mark, if you could write something like that and maybe just send it to Anita so she can distribute it. And then we'll.
Happy to, yep.
Thank you. Anything else under old business? Okay. Nothing up there.
Were you gonna bring up, I have one piece of old business, the FISU cauldron. I want to make sure that there's proper insurance. Have we ever heard back from FISU as to what they're going to do with it? Because I never did hear back with them affirming insurance coverage.
The panels for the cauldron are at Orta now. They're storing the panels. The cauldron itself, the main part of the cauldron is still down at our garage. We're just waiting for them to get the base ready, and then we're gonna drop it right in place in the location that they want it, but they're taking it. They've been down to look at it. We're just waiting for the go-ahead to bring it up.
They give you any idea how long that is?
No, and I didn't even look this morning, so it might not even be there. So,
Oh, no, they're working on the steps.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
okay, so it's still there then, but it should be gone soon. Power's been down a couple times. He did get everything off our trailers like we asked, and all our trailers, it's just sitting, it's in a safe location. It's just sitting there waiting for them, and we're just bring it up on the loader works, and we'll drop it in place for them.
And they've designated the place?
Yes.
It's indoors, right?
Under.
That's undercover by,
So it's front doors?
yeah, by the front doors.
Okay. Anything else, Janet?
No, thank you for that follow-up.
Okay. Under mayor items, I would just say that, I've heard the 4th of July parade needs to be different and bigger, but I didn't see any less attendance, especially with the threat of a thunder and lightning storm out there.
I thought it went well.
Yeah, there were a lot of people, I thought that there were a lot of people there, and people seemed to be enjoying it, so it's good.
Congratulations, that's Roost and our village representative taking that on. Thank you very much. Good job. Any guesstimate how many people were there, Chuck?
I actually wasn't there, but I would comment that the lineup on Parkside worked really well again, if for anything else, being able to detour traffic down Olympic Drive. We were able to keep traffic flowing a lot better than when we lined up on Cummings Road.
Okay, you mean coming down from the Crown Plaza and Cummings Road, having those two roads helps a lot.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, good. Keep that in mind for next year. That's really all I had for mayor items. Any trustee reports?
One item from me, which is we've been working with the consultants who are going to be helping with the comprehensive plan, and they're going to be getting a draft of the contract over for town and village legal review, hopefully later this week. And then with a view to having that come to one of our workshops and then one of the town workshops at the start of August. So hopefully that's sort of, well, it's making its way. I think the work planning is starting to come together for that, which is great, but that'll be coming under our noses for info and review.
And that, just as looking at it's the 1st of August, when do they hope to actually engage the company?
So I think that it's provision after that, basically. So I think we've had like an initial scoping meeting with them, which was really good. And then, but I think we and they can't formally hit the button on it until.
But I think kind of, if there's no problems here, September, in the fall.
I think they're looking to start work in August. They're actually kind of starting to do some of the work already, I think.
Because that was part of the other problem we had, I think, is that we needed some of the summer people to be here for their interviews and whatever.
Yeah, and I think the interviews probably are not going to be happening until the autumn, but they have a way to do a lot of the engagement online, which I think will be good, and we can drive potentially some of the traffic by Facebook pages and that kind of thing. So that'll be, I think hopefully a really great way to get wider involvement than, people standing around with a clipboard, although I think they're planning to do that too.
And Roos must have a database too of tourists that they talk to, and maybe they send things out to if they needed such a thing, wouldn't they? Yeah, so that's something to keep in mind if you haven't already.
Great.
Okay, anything else for trustee reports? Okay. We will be going into an executive session for litigation, but before we do that, does anybody have any questions of the board for myself?
Yeah, I just wanted to just ask questions before we able to help. I did go and speak briefly with the, I believe the assistant chief prior to coming to the meeting now. So I have a house on Parkside and a rental property there as well. And we're at the, kind of the crest of the hill where it just flattens out. So 153 Parkside, and then Kathy Bromwick has a house, I think, across the way. So in front of her house, kind of, well, before that, there's a parking spot. And if anyone's there, it's just getting really dangerous to get out of there. Two-way traffic, we got, utility poles to look at. And if anyone parks there, it's really hard to back out. Last week, something finally happened, where a police cruiser, I guess, bumped a car. And, I just don't want it to happen to anybody else, or something more severe happen, because, it's the crest of the hill.
Do you have access to, what is it, Searle Lane behind you?
I do as well.
You don't use that very often?
Our other house does, yeah.
Okay, so both properties are on the same side of the road, correct? Across from Kathy?
Yeah, exactly. So long-term rental on one, then the other house. There's another house as well, but that part's on the backside of the house.
Okay, the assistant chief knows where you're talking about, we'll look into it.
Okay, yep, and, that was it. He said, the police department doesn't deal with it themselves.
They have to come to us, yeah.
Yeah, and he knows, there's always been back and forth about, one side traffic, et cetera. But anyways, that's all I have. But thanks for having me on.
With you.
Can I have your name just for the minute?
Josh Farley.
Josh Farley?
Yep.
There you go.
Thanks again, really appreciate it.
Good, and Josh, just to get a visual of the spot you're talking about, so is it in front of, is it the one kind of, sort of this side of Bulrick's house, or is it?
Yeah, it's a little bit before it on the, there's a greenish apartment building, then her house, and there's just one spot, and it's directly at the bottom of the driveway there.
Okay.
And, for instance, today, this is an extreme example, he wasn't there that long, but we had a full-size Ryder truck there, and I couldn't even get out of the driveway. So, anything bigger than an SUV, you're gonna have a really hard time. And it's a shared driveway too on my side. So, just a combination of things, but, worst case scenario, someone's coming up, the hill from Morningside. It's a really tough spot.
Okay, well, we'll take a look.
Okay.
Thanks again, appreciate it.
Mr. Harris, hey, we were just trying to check with some key people about the status for the emergency room, that it will be open 24 hours this weekend with a big event, like the original agreement was, and then we have a peak week coming up after that too, when we have capacity level of the community. Hospital emergency rooms always add an extra hour, so I'm just checking with some key people to see if
They haven't said anything
That's
to us.
right, I usually get an email and I haven't.
And the other thing that we haven't heard anything is we know that the health department, New York State Health Department is looking into this. I've heard rumors that there have been a meeting, but nothing I can substantiate that I've heard of. So I don't know if things are headed in the direction there or not, but nothing's been said.
This is about the original agreement that we've been upholding, hopefully with them as well, since they're the administrators of the emergency room. That it's open extra hours when we have a huge event in town and when there's capacity too.
That was never anything that they had to do. That's what they've done, but.
It was never written down.
Not to my knowledge.
Probably should have been, but that was the original agreement with this community. The
Well, I think we're
hospital
lucky
was
that we even have an emergency
reduced
room.
to 8 AM to 8 PM, which we don't need further reductions of course. Then back open to extended hours, especially even maybe overnight on peak weekends and huge events that we have upcoming this weekend.
Yeah, I really honestly don't know where the emergency room's going, but it's gone from a discussion of trying to save the emergency room to the emergency room probably is going to disappear just to save the hospital.
That doesn't make sense.
It makes sense to me not to lose our hospital. I mean, if you hear they're losing $15.5 million a year.
And the emergency room is supposed to be a profit-making operation.
But the whole hospital can't disappear either. I mean, there's an emergency room 10 miles from here, so I really don't know where we're headed. But those are the facts that I've been told.
But we're diverting from the topic though.
Yeah, I honestly don't know if they're going to have them. I'm sure they've looked at their past records of how much it was used, but no one has said anything to us. And usually when it does come in, we don't hear about it until about 4 days before.
Yeah, so anything else will be kind of like.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
I have a couple of questions. The Ironman Mids Park approval, was that still with a caveat, or are you just approving it straight?
I think the only caveat was that next year we'd like some more warning so we can have a chance to look at it.
At least like 30 days.
Right.
Okay. And I have a lot of questions about the residential parking passes.
Sure.
I don't know if you want me to just call you later rather than take up more of the time tonight, but I just have a ton of questions about that. Basically just the who, what, when, or why stuff.
Sure.
So, can I call you tomorrow?
Yes, you can.
I was gonna say this tonight, probably you'd rather do it right now, but if tomorrow's enough time, sure, but that probably would work.
Yeah.
Good, okay. Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, great. Anybody online? No, that was us. Okay, so at this point then, let's see, do we need a motion to go into executive
Yes.
session? And this is for litigation?
Yes. I'll make a motion that we go into executive session for litigation.
I need a second.
I'll second.
Second.
Second and a third. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great.
I just wanted to know that, I don't care.
Our attorney said she'll be on monetarily.
Very good. See, and everyone there, we need to keep their safe hours.
There you go.
Now, do you?
All right, let's hold off until the room is cleared.
Yep, I'm just saying, we have to keep us, obviously, okay.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, good seeing you.
Take care.
Hi, Liz.
Good.